Hello and welcome to another episode of Marty's Matchbox Makeovers. Today it is the Paint It Pink Challenge of 2020 and today I am doing two vehicles. Julie, my wife, is doing one and I am doing another. So first up here you can see it's the Volkswagen Beetle and it has been sent from Corey Thompson. I received it in June this year. And it came all the way from Pennsylvania. So thank you, Corey. The second model that I have is a Bond Bug. Now, some of you may not be familiar with this vehicle. It is a three-wheeled vehicle that could be driven on a motorcycle license. And a friend of mine called Andrew Jocelyn in England actually had one of these. So I thought this brought back a lot of memories for me. It's the Corgi Bond Bug number 389 and they came out in the 1970s. Quite a quirky vehicle in that the roof and the doors all lift up forwards to enable you to get in and out. It doesn't have normal doors like a normal car. The actual roof and the doors and the windscreen and everything just lifts up forwards. So let's have a bit of a close look at these things. There you can see 184A, that's the package number. From Corey Thompson, because I do keep records these days. Now looking at this, it's in quite good condition. Has a number 137 on the side, not on the other side. The decals are missing from the front. Has a little number plate there, which is pretty cute. DVB 257. Underneath you can see it says Volkswagen Saloon 1500. And it's the number 15 of the Matchbox series, super fast. Notice the Superfast wheels. I'm not a fan of Superfast, but for the Paint It Pink Challenge today, I've actually picked two vehicles with these types of wheels. The Corgi version is called Whiz Wheels, not Superfast, but Whiz Wheels. So here's a close-up of that one, the Bond Bug. I don't know why it's called Bond. I should really have done some research on this so I could educate you. I don't think it's got anything to do with James Bond. It's probably the name of the manufacturer. So there's some nice details inside this one with the handbrake, dash and steering wheel and some moulded seats. There you can see how the roof sits down on the chassis and you can just make out at the back there Bug, an original decal. So I'm really looking forward to get into this model. So to start with, there's three massively over-engineered rivets on the bottom of this. This thing was never going to come apart. So to begin with, I'm going to use this spring-loaded center punch to center punch those rivets and drill them out. As I said, this is totally over-engineered for a little kid's toy. There's no way knowing this thing would have fallen apart in the sandpit through normal play, wear and tear. So what I'm aiming to do here is drill the center of the rivet out so that the outer collar just lifts off the model. I don't achieve exactly what I intended to achieve, but I think I get close enough to it in that this thing can be pulled apart quite easily with a flat bladed screwdriver. So I'm going to do that now. I've basically drilled them all out and it's still holding on strong, but I'm just going to lever it off with this screwdriver and give it a bit of a wiggle to get those front ones out because they are actually holding quite strong. They're quite firm and it does take a little bit of effort to get that apart. And there we go. Alrighty, inside we have the rear wheels, the front wheel. This is a three-wheel vehicle, remember? So just the one on the front there. There's a little spring there, a leaf spring. And I've worked out that that's what holds the roof on, stops it from being removed when the model is fully assembled. But with the base off, you can remove the roof just by swiveling it up and forwards. The steering wheel comes off. It's just a little plastic sliding unit there. Slide it forward and the steering wheel falls out quite easily. So that's a plus. Now I'm going to try and remove the windscreen. which is a bit of a struggle. These long nose pliers don't cut it, and I cannot remove the windscreen, so I'm going to have to try and grind those little, what would you call those things, lugs? Going to grind them down with a tiny little grindstone here on my Dremel. And I've also noticed that the sides of the windscreen interlock with the openings in the door. So it's a multifaceted retention system here. And you have to sort of squeeze the sides in. At the same time, you prise the windscreen off the roof. Now initially I thought, oh dear, that's all scoured and dirty, but it turns out it's just dust. So I wipe it with my finger there, and I'm pleasantly surprised that this windscreen looks in quite good condition. So that's the Bond Bug stripped down. I put all the bits here in this plastic container and set it aside. That's one model. Now for Julie's model. First up, I give a bit of a clean up. Look how much metal I removed there to pull that car apart. There's a lot of metal. Anyway, this one's Julie's. This is the number 15 Volkswagen 1500, made in 1968. And it's held together by just one rivet at the rear and a tongue at the front. So this is a real simple pull apart. I just prise the base off there with this pointy thing that I've got. I don't even know what this is. I call it a pointy thing, and there it goes. That's pulled off. Now I just withdraw that to the rear to remove the tongue at the front, and the rest of it just falls apart. Interestingly, that tow hook and interior is fed through the rear bumper bar, and there's a demonstration of that 50-plus-year-old suspension that's working perfectly. Now I have to remove the windscreen to respray the body, otherwise the windscreen would be all white, or pink in this case. So I'm using this special modified drill. Has a shallow cut, and I've designed this so I don't drill through the roof. And I use it for removing these windscreens by just drilling out that rivet very carefully without punching through the roof. It's a beautiful thing, and you only need to remove a small amount of material, and then you just flex the body and use some finger pressure to pop the windscreen out. This is in pretty good nick, but I'm still going to give it a bit of a polish and a dunk in the clear shine polish. Moving on, this is just about ready for paint stripping, I think. So I'll put all these bits in here just to keep them together so I don't get these models mixed up. So I'm going to paint strip these models, and I'm using the hemostats or the self-locking forceps there to hold these models in place whilst I work on them with this highly toxic or caustic paint stripper. That's why I've got the rubber gloves on. And I've actually got some more of this now because, bless her heart, Julie went to Bunnings and managed to get me a new can of paint stripper. So I'm now applying it liberally without a care in the world because I know I've got a whole can left to use. So happy days. And here's a little bit of time lapse here for you to see how this paint stripper affects the paint. So once it's loosened, I generally agitate it off the model using a paintbrush that is specifically set aside for this purpose. Now I'm doing the Volkswagen. Wow, look at that. This paint is just falling off this model. It's amazing stuff. Using a pink toothbrush here, you can see just how well that paint stripper strips the paint. Just easy sweep of the brush and the paint is removed. I'm a little bit annoyed here. I spilt some paint stripper on the cutting mat and it's damaged the surface coating, so not very happy, but I'll move on anyway. I can always buy another cutting mat. I'm probably due a new one anyway in the future. Now, having a look at these models side by side, the Bond Bug and the Volkswagen, you can see that the Volkswagen finish is a lot shinier than the Bond Bug. So the one on the right is the Matchbox, one on the left is the Corgi. So maybe they use different mixes of metal. I don't know, but obviously the Bond Bug, obviously the Volkswagen's going to look better. For the base of the Bond Bug, I'm using this satin black spray paint, which is one of my favourite products. It really does a good job on the bases. Just put that there on a magnetic clamp to dry, and now I am undercoating the main body of the vehicles. First up, the Volkswagen, now the Bond Bug roof, and finally the Bond Bug body. Bond Bug body, try saying that. There we go, nice. So I'll let those dry. And now Julie is participating in this video. She's going to clean these transparencies using this semi-chrome polishing paste and some cotton buds. So she's just squeezed some out on the base of a shot glass there, and now she's using the cotton buds just to polish any surface scratches out of the windscreen assemblies that may be present. And she's doing a good job too. So that's the main front windscreen. Then she's got to do the sides and the other side. And here's the one from the Volkswagen. Turned out really good. This one's a little bit yellow, but I'm going to live with it. It's not that critical. Here you can see some details of windscreen wipers and an interior mirror that has been moulded into the windscreen. A nice touch. There go some motorbikes past the house. So after polishing, they're now going to be immersed in this long life floor polish, which hopefully will make them look like brand new. So I've got this onion saver, and Julie is putting in a small circular piece of kitchen towel there to absorb any excess polish that might fall off of the windscreen. She just dunks them in there and taps off any excess, and then she places them onto the kitchen towel to dry. Here we go. Going to put the lid on it to keep it dust free. Nice. Set that aside for 24 hours so it can dry. Next up, cleaning the interior of the cars, like the seats and the dashboard. So she picks a toothbrush out of the selection of toothbrushes that we have, and using some warm water and some washing up detergent gives these plastic pieces a quick clean. Wonderful. They look like brand new. Just place them on some kitchen towel here to dry them off, and the job is done. You would not think these are 50-year-old parts. For the base of the Volkswagen, I sprayed it with some silver paint out of a pressure pack. It was originally silver, so I just touched it up a little bit with some spray paint. Here are the wheels for the Bond Bug. This is the base that I've done with the satin black paint. And this little component here is responsible for holding the roof down on the Bond Bug. Now, funnily enough, before a year ago, in fact, with the old Paint It Pink challenge, the first one, I had some extra screws that I painted pink. So I'm going to use them today in this new Paint It Pink challenge. I was going to use this X17 Tamiya paint that I bought especially for this purpose. But I did happen to notice some pink paint in a spray pack at my local Bunnings. So I actually bought this can instead to paint the model. It's gloss pink and it squirts paint and prime, so I probably wasted my time priming the model, but nevertheless I did, and now here I go with the top coat. Now surprisingly, although this paint comes out incredibly fast and thick, I have to sort of pace myself and be very careful to give it a long range shot, and 3 times I paint these so that the paint gets overall coverage. So I think I'll stick to the airbrush in future because the pressure pack did not really do it for me. Now for my model, I am painting the hubs of the wheels pink. They're actually sort of like, what would you call those? Alloy rims. They're like alloy rims and I'm painting them pink. It's very, very tedious work, and I'm wearing magnifying glasses to make sure I don't get any paint where I don't want it. So this is what the Volkswagen looks like after it's been undercoated. You can see some details there, hinges and door handle. There's a number plate on the back, that's indicators. And there's even like a Volkswagen logo across the boot there. And a nice vent there for cooling the rear mounted engine. On the front of the bonnet there is also, I believe it to be a Volkswagen logo, although it is not clearly defined. And there's also a couple of indicators on the front guards. So a lot of detail in this model for its age. This is where Matchbox excelled over other manufacturers. Now this is Julie, and she is painting her model pink. And she's doing a good job too. I've got to take my hat off to her. She stepped up to the plate and she's actively involved in this restoration. That looks mighty fine. I think that's 2 or 3 coats on that. Now she's using some gold ink from this ink pen to paint the wheels. Let's see how she does here. And this is over to you.
Okay, this is me painting the wheels in gold. God, this is hard.
You're using a brush?
I'm using a brush, a thin brush, but I went a bit over the edges, so I had to touch it up with the black. And here I'm trying it with a toothpick, that didn't really work. So I eventually go back to the brush. There I am going back to the brush. That's me. I haven't brushed my hair this morning. Oh, I haven't brushed my hair.
For a week.
For a week. And I'm still brushing the wheels. Took a long time. I'm using my finger for something. And here's my decals. They're Martin's decals, the black ones. Mine are the flowers. And that's me cutting them out precisely, very carefully. They're clear backed decals, so I am trying to get them as close as I can. Okay, now I nearly forgot to put water on the car here to slide them around, but I rectified that. Okay. Well, maybe I already put the water on. No, here's me rectifying that. No, I'm using a toothpick. Martin's laughing at me. Now you have to wick off the water. Now I'm putting on some other decals.
Oh, what's the fuss and carry on about putting these on?
Theatrics. No, they can be difficult.
Next time you need a hand,
You just got a good tutor.
just let me know, alright? Next time, if you want them put on.
Alright, we can do the bomb bug then.
Except for the bum bug. Oh, I didn't wet it.
Okay, there we go.
Oh, I'm happy with that.
Okay, now I'm back on scene. I'm doing the Pinky. I call it Pinky, this little bond bug. I've made some new number plates and some decals on some clear backed decal paper. And I'm going to cut them out and put them on. I'm using an X-Acto knife and a little steel rule to cut the decals out accurately, because I think it's quite important for this tiny little model that the decals do not have any overlap whatsoever from where they're supposed to be. There's not really much room for error. Cutting now back to Julie. She's using some super glue to secure the windscreen assembly in this model. The reason being is because I looked for the silicone that we normally use and we couldn't find it. So I guess I must have used it all up and must put it on my shopping list to get some more when I'm next out and about. However, the super glue should do, so long as nobody wants to pull this thing apart in the future and change the colour. Now she's reassembling it with first up the interior and the wheels. Now the wheels are particularly difficult and awkward on this model because this has a spring-loaded suspension base on it. You have to pry that up and try and feed the wheels underneath it. And it was very time consuming and difficult to do. Without breaking it, of course. She got there in the end, although it was fairly frustrating watching her work.
Oh my god, what a bloody job that was.
Have you done it? It's good. So this is what we started with. A quick reminder, the Volkswagen number 15, built in 1968 from Plowbender, who is also known as Corey Thompson from Pennsylvania. And this is what it looks like now. A beautiful painted pink model with some psychedelic, feel-good, flower power decals on it. I must admit, I do like this model. I think it's better than mine. Here's mine. This is the Bond Bug from Stephanie Nichols in Worcester in the UK. Thank you, Stephanie. This is a beautiful little model. I've put some decals on it, the Bond Bug decals. I've painted the rear rims pink, and I've painted the door panels black as per the original item, and also given it some silver highlights. Also the rear tail lights and the indicators are painted. I think this makes for a beautiful little model. The addition of the little Union Jack stickers there just add to the fact that this is a English icon. Probably not too many of these made, but if you've got one, I reckon they'd be worth a fortune now. I also did some interior detailing, not a lot, just enough to make it special. And so now these two vehicles are both going to be on sale on eBay. Just Google Paint It Pink and you should find them. I think Julie's looks better actually with the gold rims and the flower power theme. This Paint It Pink challenge is to raise awareness for breast cancer. This particular Paint It Pink challenge is quite personal in that some of you may or may not know 6 years ago, Julie was diagnosed with breast cancer, and we have been making regular visits to this building, which is the Peter MacCallum Cancer Hospital in Melbourne. Here she is there on the rooftop garden. It is a beautiful building with some spectacular architecture. These shots are of the interior and the atrium, and it is magnificent. And they have worked miracles with Julie, so all proceeds from this video are going towards the Peter MacCallum Hospital to assist them to continue the good work that they do. So thank you for watching. This is Marty from Marty's Matchbox Makeovers saying goodbye. Oh, you stay there.